Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Within Digital. Welcome to the Digital Respite. Within Digital is a digital respite engaging Black artists, creatives, and the art curious in curated conversations about art, the creative process, and being Black on the internet in the 21st century. My name is Candace, and I'm delighted to be in the Digital Respite with each of you for today's conversation.
Hey y'all, I'm Bree. I'm artist, provocateur, and 1/3 of Within Digital. I'm really excited to be in the respite with y'all for Within Digital Vol.2. So right now we'd like to welcome all the gigabytes, that's you, into the space. If you don't know, today's conversations are first curated convo of Vol.2 of Within Digital. Curated Convos are the non-Midwest only version of our digital talks where we speak with an inspiring Black artist working in a creative expression that inspires, promotes education, and opens the dialogue of art making to the public. If you'd like to check out Volume 1 of Within Digital's conversations, you can watch them here on YouTube, or you can go to withindigital.net. That's the sexier option. It's been amazing to see the respite expand this year. Some of you may have heard of us from our conversation Into the Respite in collaboration with artist Cameron Granger through the Studio Museum of Harlem last month, or through our most recent generative poetry workshop titled Dreaming of Home Place. And some of you might be OGs from when we began in 2020. Shout out to yourself if you're an OG. If you're an OG, shout yourself out in the chat right now. Whether you've been here since 2020 or you just got here right now, we're glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thank y'all for being here. Before we get into the conversation, we'd like to go over Within Digital's digital boundaries that we use to create a safe space. So here are the main boundaries for today's conversation. Curated Convos are a digital space meant for Black people as the priority. We allow non-Black participants to attend, but advise to allow for Black digital members to comment and ask questions during the discourse. And we'll try to attend to every comment and question, but if we're unable to do so, we appreciate the support. Archived videos will exist on Within Digital's website, Instagram, and YouTube channel. And here are the chat boundaries. Conversations in Curated Convo will center Blackness in the diaspora, which means any form of racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia of any kind will not be tolerated, and members will be banned from the chat and blocked. Inquisitive and curious discourse are engaged via the option of DMing or commenting in the chat. And if you prefer another method of communication, you can also email your question to wearewithindigital@gmail.com. And to support the chat, we'll have various emojis that you can tap on during the conversation. So today's emojis are the video camera, the frame picture, and a piece of watermelon, because Black people. So use them in combination, individually, or whatever you want. However you choose to engage in the digital respite is up to you.
Period. So today we're very excited. We have an amazing guest with us today. We're here with Antonia B. Larkin, and now I'm going to read her bio. Antonia B. Larkin is a multidisciplinary artist interested in rest and navigating Black womanhood. She holds a Master's of Fine Art and Sculpture from Cranbrook Academy of Art and has exhibited nationally, most recently at institutions such as Temple Contemporary in Philadelphia and Blanc Gallery in Chicago. Her current work started with a meme of Snow White laying on the ground, crying with the words, "Bitch, you okay?" beneath her. That meme led to exploring rest as a conduit for healing from trauma. Trauma has a lineage that often stems from ancestral and historical wounds passed on. She confronts her intergenerational traumas by researching the parallels between ancestral lineage, Black American culture, and personal narrative. Using familial, personal, and cultural iconography, Antonia B. Larkin aims to honor her ancestors in their eternal rest and magnify the Black American gaze. So first things first, thank you for being here with us, Antonia. My first question is the question that we always ask. How are you entering the respite today?
Honestly, I'm entering it very nervously.
It's real.
That's real.
That's it.
It's all good. I'm grateful that you're here. And I think that's how I'm entering the rest of it, with gratitude and excitement for Vol.2. I'm glad we get to connect today. Candace, how are you entering the rest of it today?
I am entering the rest of it full of chicken soup dumplings and full of gratitude as well. So they're sitting side by side in my stomach. I'm very excited to be here. Feels good to be back in this way. I feel like we've had a very exciting kind of start to 2023. And yeah, I'm really grateful that we can talk with Antonia today, and we're gonna have a really great conversation. So I share the sentiments around nervousness, because putting yourself out there is hard. Okay, it's very hard. But we're here together, and so yeah, I'm excited to be here. So my first question, we're just going to kind of start with just learning more about you, Antonia, both for ourselves and for our audience. So who is Antonia? There's a common question, among Black folks, like when they meet you, they're like, where are your people from? And it's how we define ourselves, like through our community, and how we can trace ourselves back. So the question is, like, where are your people from, and where are you now located?
So I'm an Army brat, and my mother is an Army brat. So my mother's my my maternal grandmother is from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. My grandfather is from Newberry, Florida, and my dad's people are from Farmville, North Carolina. So, and I'm currently living in Savannah, Georgia.
Wow. Okay, cool. So your kind of whole kind of family can be found in the South. Like that's where
Yeah.
you're from and all that. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, how was that kind of upbringing? Like I know in your Instagram bio, you describe yourself as a regular Black girl. Like what does that mean to you? Like your Instagram name, I also find really interesting. Nia B. Larkin, like was that something that was developed or like that shaped by your experience growing up in like the South, or like moving around, or what was that?
So Nia B. Larkin is one, I think, very clever. And that's why I that's why I did it. But another thing, I've always felt like very strange. I've always been very quiet, very awkward. So I always feel like I'm an observer. So I'm always sort of like lurking. And so that's how it ties into me. But as far as like the regular Black girl, like I said, I've always felt very strange. I've always been, and I feel like within Black womanhood, we're made to feel othered, and within that, I have felt othered, especially like growing up. But I've come to realize that I am like that Black womanhood um, is diverse, and me just being a Black woman, I am regular. I am a regular Black girl. I am very normal. Um, yeah, and the othering of Black women, I think, is sort of ridiculous to me, because like how do you other the blueprint, and how do you stick a expansive like group of people in a box? So yeah. And within being a regular Black girl, Black girls are amazing, and that's the standard. And so regular is not bad. Also want to say that it's not bad.
It's
Wow.
okay. Oh, my fault, Candace.
Are you
I was
guys?
just gonna say it's okay to be regular. Like regular,
Yeah,
it's all good, you know? There's
yeah.
no need to be, anything but that sometimes. And that's a-okay. You mentioned a lot about your origins and your family's personal relationship with the Southern United States. So I was gonna ask you this question about influence. So I'm wondering, what would you say that, how would you say the influence of the physical land, like where you're from, how would you say that that's expressed or translated within your artwork? Yeah, could you expand on that?
So physical land is not something, it's important to me, but it's not like a direct thing. It's not like the first thing I think of, because I'm an army brat. I was born in Germany. My first memory was was a small church in Washington State. Um, so um, the way I engage with my like Southern culture is that like it's within me. I'm culturally Black and Southern, so it's not necessarily a physical thing. Like it's not necessarily a landscape, but it's cultural. It's within me.
Period. We love when things are within TM. So that kind of leads into my next question, which is like about language. I'm curious if there's any like cultural, like artistic language that you feel like you translate through your work, or like where you're from.
um, That's language is like really like interesting to me, because while I'm culturally Southern, I don't have a Southern accent. And I remember the like first time I visited my cousins in Florida in Newberry. They asked me and my sister, they like, do you want to orange? And I didn't know what they're talking about, and I thought they were crazy, and they thought I was crazy. Um, so I didn't really like have a like a tie to like Southern language until I was a little older and moved to Georgia. And I think that's where I like um, started to, I guess, understand like AAVE more, and use it because I was around Black people more. So.
Yeah, that's real. Do you feel like, like moving around so much, and like, do you feel like you claim a specific place? Like, I know you live in Georgia right now, but like when you think about like if you were to put like a stake in the ground,
Like home.
Yeah.
Um, I I think of home as, well, I only lived in Florida for a very like short period of time. I think of Newberry, Florida as home. I think that's where I feel like most connected um, to my ancestry. Um, yeah, for like a very short period in my life, I lived with my grandparents, and because my dad was like in Kuwait and my mom was finishing up college, and after school I would sit on my great grandmother's porch and play with salt rocks while she like rocked. She was very quiet like me, um, and like I don't know, those like memories, being there, going to like the springs, um, hanging out with cousins. That's I that's what I think of when I think of home, is Newberry, Florida.
Yeah, that's real. Like you've been, kind of exploring home, and home place. And so
Yeah.
it's really interesting to hear um, that you have this memory of home that is really rooted in these different experiences, like related to people and like the physical land, and like yeah, it's not just like the physical home, like the building that you think of.
Yeah, because I also think of like going to Kentucky in the summertime and like hanging out on my like family land in Kentucky. Um, yeah, there's a lot of, I think home is family. Um, yeah, home is family.
Definitely an underscore for that. Yeah, how do you see that kind of shaping your practice? Like, how does that, like concept of home, and being like a Black woman who, like you said, didn't necessarily like grow up like, in that typical Southern experience, like culturally, like how do you see that shaping what you create?
So I have done a lot of like ancestry work, like um, finding like records and things of my ancestors because I wanted to know names and places. And that's rooted in my work. So a lot of the pieces are inspired by like my second great grandmother, like my family, and the research that I've done is inspired by my family research. So that's sort of how I get there with my work, like with home lineage in my work.
That's so like charming. I don't know how to explain it, but that's like such a romantic thing to think about.
Yeah, it's I was like house sitting for one of my mentors while I was like researching my second great grandmother, Amelia Hamilton. And I didn't know her name, but as a kid, I grew up with the story that she was murdered by her husband with an axe. But I had a dream that I was someone was chasing me through the woods with a hammer, and I woke up and I like started doing it was very strange. I woke up, started doing my research. I found her name and I found her death certificate. And on her death certificate, it says that she was, I don't remember verbatim, but she died by hammer. Like her husband found her in the woods and beat her with the hammer. And then my mother called me and told me that my aunt had told her the story of what happened, about her being in the woods. And that changed a lot for me. That like that dream means a lot to me. And I think that it was given to me. So, I don't know if I'm like answering questions.
That was really insightful though. Like I feel like we talk a lot about ancestry and like the ways that we like meet the people that we come from. And I feel like dreams are also something that we talk a lot about, and how to get there. Like, I don't know, like finding your ancestors, connecting with them through dreams, like can look like a lot of stuff. And that is one way. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So I feel like someone sent me that message, whether it's her, whether it was my great grandmother, someone.
Yeah, somebody definitely sent that. And have there been any other like instances where something like that has happened that has like been a direct link to your work? Like I think we can start, talking about your really amazing project ongoing. And like this, it's kind of just a question that came to mind, but was any of that a part of the shaping of that project?
Yeah. So in doing like family research, you find census records and you find death certificates and birth certificates. And I was thinking a lot about like rest, like Black rest and Black intimacy. And so that led me down this like homegoing train, where I'm thinking about like how we pay respects to people who've passed, and like the different levels of how Black people rest, and what that looks like. And so the video Loudly, there's like a song, it's like very layered, and there's like a song about like homegoings, and like don't worry about, it's like when you hear my homegoing, don't worry about me. um I yeah, it's thinking it like there has never, like, funerals are sad, but family reunions, they're also like moments of celebration. And like Black people, the way Black people often come to die is like like steeped in tragedy, but still we celebrate life. So that's where that started.
Yeah, I listened to that video, or watched it um yesterday, and I think it's just like, yeah, the celebration, or just the collective kind of gathering of like funerals and just like homegoing services. Like I just love the framing of like a homegoing service instead of just like funeral and like death and finality, but you know, there's this
Yeah.
continuation, this afterlife, that is kind of being ushered in through this ceremony. And I really find that really interesting. So yeah, like homegoing, this project that we're kind of talking about right now, it's what really caught our attention from your work, and particularly just the way that you're using your body within the pieces. And it's like the body becomes, you know, from my perspective at least, this metaphor, and a conduit of experience. So like your project Digital Veil, where you know you're like there's this outline of the body, and there's this other scene like happening, and the kind of digital physical planes are collapsing, and the body is outlined and integrating this experience. You know, that is really interesting to me. Like, could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know that that's kind of a, like, I feel like the body is like a very central part of a lot of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so I think of um the body, like Black identity, Black woman identity, as as containing multitudes. And in doing my family research, like I'm not just me, I'm also my grandmother, I'm also my great grandmother, I'm also like all of these things. And so I like to use my body in a way that sort of sort of like sits. I don't know how to, I don't know if I'm like explaining it. Just sort of like sits in this in its own like space. Um, think of my in my work, I think of my figure as like sort of a I don't know if the word tool is correct, but um just like a symbol for like all of the women that I contain, all the people that I contain. Yeah. And then also um, that digital veil I set up the space like an odalisque painting that I can't remember the name of the painting. Um, of course I can't. But I'm also like really interested in how like Black women are seen like in the canon of painting, and like how white women are seen in the canon of painting, and like putting myself like in that space, like how do I fit in that space, um in like the way I see me and not the way that we've been seen.
Can I just say, I love that like juxtaposition of like stilling this like very stirred like thing, just like you're saying that you contain these multitudes and these histories of other people, and like by very moving, you're in, like trying to capture that in a way. I think that's cool. I think it's neat, and I think it's big brained, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I also really love that and really resonate with that. Just thinking, you know, like, you know, I liked in your artist bio how you were talking about, you know, your work is like navigating Black womanhood. And I feel like, you know, that's something I've been really thinking about, like the actual navigation, the charting of a journey, like the kind of milestones within a journey, but also like the physical body and like how, you know, the opposite of the I am not my ancestors, but like I am my ancestors. And so what do I do with this body that I have right now in this context in this particular time? And so yeah, I really, really resonate with that. Your other piece, Black Girl, is it Black Girl Sleeping? I know it's like abbreviated BG Sleeping.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Black Girl Sleeping. Um, so I layered bubble wrap as like bubble wrap protects things. Um, but within that same like that thought that like me, Antonia, contains multitudes. When I was a kid, and I don't know if this is like a tangent. When I was a kid, I used to look in the mirror and be like, I can't believe I'm Antonia. I used to say that to myself, which like now I think of it as like, who was that? Who was saying that?
They do always
Yeah.
say like children, you know, are very spiritual and attuned and like, you know, we don't have all of the blockages that we do as we grow up and take more things. So yeah, I feel that's like a very pure thought. That really like excited me when you said that.
Yeah. I get like chills when I think about it. It's like, why was I saying that? But I would say it all the time.
I feel like I've had a thought like that before, but I think it was also when I was a kid. So that's cool to think about. I never knew that like people perceive children as like more in tune with spiritual things. That's cool. I like that. Listen to the kids.
Yeah.
That eats.
Yeah. So, you know, the other projects within going, like you mentioned, I think you mentioned Loudly, right? The one that had the video layered, or is that Hunger?
Uh, Loudly.
Loudly, okay. Um,
Yeah.
so like those projects are super, like all those projects are super interesting, like the physical, or not the physical, like the actual construction of like the layering and how we talked about like the multitudes. Um,
Mhm.
Um, and I think what you were saying about like the canon of painting and the body, like how we've been represented versus how like white people have been represented. Like your piece that I'm thinking of is not even through the white noise, where you're like eating the watermelon next to the book American Bodies. I thought that piece, like it really struck me because it was just I don't know, the layer, the video layer where you're eating a watermelon feels like this, I don't know, extrapolation that's like happening from the, not from the book, but like I don't know what I'm trying to say, like an insertion or like a, what's the opposite of an insertion? Like a jut or something from the book. And so I just wanted to hear more about that project and, you know, if what that particular book is about, you know, just for our audience, because I've never read it.
Yeah. So, one thing about my work is that it is always in progress. So that video where I'm reading American Bodies, what I made in grad school. And a couple of years ago, I looked back at it and I was like, well, I can add this to it. I can like, I'm always like adding layers as I like learn and grow. Um, so there was a time in my life where I would get really offended by the association between Black people and watermelon, Black people and fried chicken. I remember my freshman year of college, my freshman year of college, I went to a school called Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College in Tifton, Georgia. There was, just to like set up the scene, there was sorry, my dog is begging for treats. There was a guy with redneck coon killer on his truck. So just like very, very deep South, like racist vibes. And for Black History Month, they had watermelon and chicken and fried chicken. And like I don't know, I forgot, like just like the area where people would like play pool and hang out or whatever. And I remember being very offended by that. But now I'm like, I think part of the reason why I was offended is because the school, like there's so many racist people at the school. But like, then I'm like, why am I ashamed of like our cultural food? Like our ancestors brought watermelon here. They brought okra here. Like there's a reason why they fry the chicken. Like there's a reason why they fried foods. And so like, why do I need to be ashamed of that? And so that's where that came from. So the American Bodies, to be completely honest, I don't remember exactly what the book was, like exactly what was in the book, because it's been some years. However, it was like, I remember reading it and not seeing myself in it. And so I made a video where I'm like reading it and I fall asleep eventually. You can hear me snoring. And just like thinking about like time is really important in my work, and especially in that work. So like the time it takes to like contemplate like my identity. And I really wanted people, it's like a very slow, very much like Andy Warhol Empire State Building. Just I wanted people to sit and reflect on my Black body while I fell asleep reading a book that I didn't see myself in. I'm American. Yeah.
Monique Biggers asked, was the chicken good?
I didn't eat it, and I like so many regrets. I should have went in there and ate all the chicken and watermelon because I love fried chicken and watermelon. If there's anything that I've gotten from my grandmother, is the love of fried chicken and watermelon. So yeah, a lot of regrets.
This is a tangent, but like, do you have a special fried chicken recipe? Like, is this like an ancestral recipe? Like, is there?
No, so this is funny. My grandmother is from Kentucky and they eat different. They don't, and so but she lives in Florida, where my grandfather's family is from. So the family in Kentucky, I hope they don't see this. The food is like not what I need it to be, all like um so my grandmother can make like soups and stews really well. But when it comes to like that, my grandfather was like the cook. Um, and I don't have like a special recipe from him on like how to fry chicken. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, as long as somebody was frying the chicken, I mean,
Right. So
the
my
job was getting
grandma,
done.
she would go to Publix and get chicken and watermelon. Or go to, at that time, like Hardee's sold chicken. So she'd go to Hardee's and get the chicken box. And so my like association with for the longest time I thought Hardee's only sold chicken. So because my grandma would get the chicken box from Hardee's and get watermelon from Publix.
I
So,
feel like Hardee's selling chicken is a fun fact.
Yeah,
That's
the 90s. Yeah, wild times.
well, I feel like that brings up an interesting thought just about like, you know, within we are really focused on, conversations with Black artists from multiple places, but we have a special emphasis on the Midwest because we're from Ohio and like we really care about the Black art scene in the Midwest. But what you were just saying, like about Kentucky versus, you know, Georgia or these other places like other states in the South, I feel like there can be this perception that the South is also a monolith in a way. And so like I just wondered if you had any thoughts, because you have, moved around because your family does come from all these different southern states. What is your perspective on this like idea of this, also the idea of there being a Black experience that does all just like stem from this monolithic southern experience?
Yeah, so yeah, Kentucky, North Carolina, Florida, all in the South, but they all cook differently. And so uh like I would say my favorite is Florida. Uh Probably like I am closer to my maternal grandfather's family. And he would say about about like food in North Carolina, he would say that pulled pork, they eat a lot of like pulled pork. And he would say that their barbecue was like they chewed it up and spit it out. So I had like negative associations with like other parts. But like Florida is like um I don't know why I'm talking about just food, but I think like we'd have fish fries, and my grandfather would make like experiment with his like collard greens, and I don't know. This is all these like I don't know. When I think of like food and family, like while I love all of my family, I I definitely think that Florida's cuisine is better. Um, it's just like superior. And they're all like different. All like three sections of my family, they're like different, not just in food, but in like in way of speaking and like personality. No.
personality
Yeah,
concept.
like different vibes.
I'm thinking about the vibe of like the internet, like the curated sort of, I don't know, the curated cultural landscape of the internet. And I'm thinking about your homecoming project. So I'm gonna ask another question about your homegoing project. So you started this work with the meme of Snow White laying on the ground, crying with the words, "Bitch, you okay?" under
Mhm.
her. So I'm curious about like how would you say social media or like memes impact like your process of making art? Like, do you see yourself as an artist within like how would you say you see yourself as an artist within the digital world?
Yeah, so that meme, the bitch you okay meme, was actually like my my desktop screen in grad school. And so whenever I do a presentation, I plug in my computer and that would come up, and everyone would say, "Oh, that's so you." It's like it's the internet is amazing, and like there's like you can find yourself in the internet. You can find yourself, like you can find community. Like I was like a big Tumblr girl. Um, so like I think that's probably where I found that meme. Um, but like it's such a big part of like how we communicate, and like it's a such a large part of like culture. So I lean into it with my work. Um, I'm always on. Now it was getting memes off of Tumblr, but now it's looking at TikTok videos. I don't know if I answered that. But yeah, the internet is a big part of my life. My work is about identity, and so it bleeds in.
That is great, because I was going to ask you, how would you say that like your role or like your relationship to the internet has been kind of reflected, or not reflected, but how would you say that, I'm trying to think of like how to pose this question of, how do you think that word of like navigating Black womanhood and then like navigating the internet, like, do you think there's like an enmeshment of that, or do you think there's like...
Yeah, because like growing up with like this, thinking of like Black womanhood as like one thing, and then going to the internet and finding Black girls who are interested in all of these different things like I am, it, like I said, like it's where it's like social media is like community. And so it does, like you go on the internet and you find your people, and you like see yourself in ways that you might not see yourself like directly around you. Yeah.
That's so real. There is so much power in digital spaces, and yeah, where we are now in the respite, in the digital respite. Finding those spaces to gather and connect with people who, share things that you thought only you experienced or you felt. I feel like within like the homegoing project, it feels like, like you did talk about, how it is about containing multitudes, and like, having this kind of honoring of like your ancestry through the project. And I was just wondering about how like on the internet, like in this kind of digital world that can be so like stark and cold, how do you kind of maintain that sacredness, I feel like, to the work? Like how do you, like through the like medium of digital, like how do you feel like you maintain um like maintain that kind of care, or like, yeah, sacredness is the only word I can think of.
Yeah, so like within my work, I'm always like, not even just within my work, I'm always trying to, I feel like I'm such an awkward person that always trying to make myself comfortable. Like I'm always trying to like create spaces where I feel comfortable. And my work, I like for it to have like this relaxation thing, like aspect to it. So like within, I'm trying to figure out how to like frame, like within social media, like because social media can be bad, there's like negative things to it. And I think it's just like uh like I don't know, being careful with how I engage with social media, um and like what I'm looking at, being careful like with what I'm engaging with, um and like just like taking all of the like the things I vibe with and putting that in my work, if that makes sense.
I think that makes sense. I think that like the internet um is a place that is kind of difficult to capture nuance, but um like, I don't know. Did that make sense what I just said? Like the internet is a place that you can find nuanced people, but like you cannot fully like put your nuance. Like nobody's going to grasp all of it on
Yeah.
the World Wide Web, you know?
So I like sort of use it as a tool, I guess.
Of tools. What tools do you use to create your work?
It depends on what I'm doing, either Premiere Pro or iMovie when I'm doing video. I love a good Polaroid. I like taking Polaroids. Um, yeah. And and I'm a sculptor. I think of myself as a sculptor. I'm sculpting the videos, is what I tell myself. Um, So, and I do like physical sculptures, and the things that I use are, I work in clay sometimes, but I also work in a lot of like mixed media. Um, so I have, there's a piece, a part of the homegoing series that it's like, it's the size, it's like the size of size of me. And it's sort of a mound, and it's meant to represent um, like a resting place, like a grave, if you will. And there's like bonnets and like cotton and hair, and like flowers on it. So like I also use like that in my work.
I love that. Um, when you're, sourcing both digitally and physically, like where do you source from? Like, are you going to just like the hair store and just to the natural land? And then like when you're sourcing for video stuff, is it all your own original video? Like, what does that look like?
No, it's not all my own original video. Like I pull things, I pull like sounds and stuff to add layers to my video. Um, I go to the I go to the hair store. I like flowers have always been a big part of my life. In high school, I was on the floral design team, so I like to like melt that. So that's why in my like physical sculptures, I like to put flowers. I like to tap into that floral design background. So yeah.
I'm so curious about floral design. Like, is this for like prom, or is this just like, was your high school just like,
It was I would do competitions. Yeah, so you get like they give you some like flowers, and like depending on if it's like a bouquet or like a table arrangement, they like give you everything you need. But then they give you a piece of paper that says like if it's a bouquet, um tell you like the bride's like height, and so you know like how big to make it, and it'll like give you like little descriptors, and you have to like use those to make a bouquet. So
and this was in high school?
yeah, I was in.
Incredible.
That's how I. So this is how I ended up at an agricultural college. um, so I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America. I was a president, um, and I did floral design and floriculture. Yeah.
That's so cool. The land remembers. Okay.
Yeah, and I like fresh flowers, but in my work, I often use faux flowers because when you go, I go a lot. I go to like Black cemeteries often. I find peace in cemeteries, um, and I find peace in Black cemeteries. Let me say that. Um, and you often see like faux flowers because synthetic is forever, plastic is forever, and to like continually like put fresh flowers on a grave is expensive. And so I think often about like Blackness in the synthetic, um how like thinking about bonnets and how it says they're satin but they're not, um and It's like braiding hair and I don't know, like materials. A lot of things are like plastic or like based in like synthetics, but like synthetics are forever. Like when I see a tumbleweave, I think like, oh, Black women are forever. Like, is it hurting the environment? Maybe. But like, were we the first people? Yeah. So who cares? So yeah.
Well, this is a counterpoint, but have you ever seen, there's like this organization that is working to create sustainable braiding hair. Have you heard about that organization?
No, I haven't.
I'll have to, if anyone in the chat knows it, let me know or I'll find it later. But yeah, I feel like that is very interesting. Like that, just thinking about death and, as we were talking about ancestry, like, and our ancestors might have passed away, but we are, these living, breathing continuations of them. And like, so I think that's just like a very interesting conversation, like as we're talking about homegoings and like, I know your work is, dealing with, I see that tension there of death and dying, but the carrying on of stories and legacy and lineage. And so yeah, I just find that really cool and interesting. So one of the other things that we've touched, you're a floral designer, president of the FFA, like all these things, but you're also a curator and like an installationist, like and I know that you recently curated a project with the Savannah Cultural Arts Center titled But Some of Us Are Brave, which the title references the anthology All the Women Are White, All the Blacks Are Men, But Some of Us Are Brave, which is the first comprehensive collection of Black feminist scholarship. You know, can talk more about that? And even in the context of what we were just talking about with regards to like Black women are forever, like, does that kind of sentiment carry into this project? Or
Yeah, so um so I my 9 to 5 is I work at the Savannah Cultural Arts Center. And that's sort of how I fell into curating for work. And it's like an extension of my practice in that I approach it as like an installation. So like how do I put this artwork together to communicate this thing? And I was asked to do an exhibition for Black History Month. So I was like, how do I make this radical and like in within like the fact that like I work for the city. So how do I do this? And so just thinking about like representation and my own like feelings about being a Black woman artist. And I was like, I want to find Black women artists in Savannah and I want to put them on a pedestal and I want to let them share their stories through their work. I want people to come into the space and see that like we're not a monolith, to see that we can work in many different ways. So yeah, that's like, I just wanted to do what the book does, but with art.
what kind of pieces were you, or what kind of pieces like made it into the show, or like what was your kind of process for finding the artists?
So some of the artists I was familiar with just from going to events in Savannah. One piece, there's a piece by, I can't think of the title, by Gabe Torres, and it's like an American flag. It's like a woven American flag, and she, with all her work, she like puts English ivy and thinking in like terms of thinking about colonization. And there's like barbed wire on it, and then there's like fabric with like money on it. So I wanted like this piece like sort of packs this punch, but it's like subtle enough in that like, oh, it's a flag, and then you look closer at it, and it's like all of these things, and And then I have Larissa Miller. She did a tapestry, and the tapestry is layered, and it has like song lyrics. It has her birth chart. It has her family tree. It has an image of her. So that's very much her. And Sharon Norwood, she did this oil painting that says "Long live the king," and it's a Black woman saying "Long live the king," like she is the king. And I just thought that that was like radical in its own way. So yeah, it's a lot of like just like stringing all of these like phenomenal women together to like create this story.
Love that. I feel like a lot of those themes also connect very richly to like what you told us about yourself today. And I really appreciate that because you're putting it in the work and you're putting it in the shows, and that's nice and thoughtful. And I'm grateful for that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I don't know if we're like starting to close.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was really interesting to see. I feel like I mean, I guess this is true of most people, but I just feel like there's like a real respect like within your work, like both for your family, your heritage, but also contributing to like the larger narrative about Black women. And I feel like that's really, speaking to who you are as a person and as an artist, like the thought, like Bree said, just the thoughtfulness and like the gratitude you have like for your story and the story that yeah, like you're highlighting with other people's stories. So I love just seeing the ways that you're using your position to connect all of these things together. And as you were saying before, the like your body like being one way to do that. And I see that through both like the physical pictures of your body, but also like by putting your body in places, like by using your position like at the Savannah Cultural Arts Center to be like, no, we're gonna change the narrative here. We're gonna, figure out what we can do in this space to highlight Black women. So I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I actually have, so me and one of the artists in the show, Larissa, which the show was beautiful in the sense that, and then I have I have new friends now. So Larissa Miller, one of the artists, and we got together a couple of weekends ago and did, and I hope I pronounced this right, Orikis. And they're basically like Yoruba hype mantras. Um, and I meant to read mine when in the beginning, and I kind of want to read it. Is that okay? Okay. So this is like not humble in any way. Just, and I don't normally talk about myself like this. So, okay. Antonia Brianna of House Larkin, first of her name, baddest of the bitches, commander of comfort, ruler of rest, savior of solace, vessel of veneration, lavish lady of liminal space, mitochondrial matriarch, eve of elation, curator of the culture, conduit of the ancestors, the only wonder. So I just wanted to. So the only wonder, my sister says that she says that she's the eighth wonder. And so that's a jab at my sister. I'm the only wonder.
Love that. Love, love, love the themes today. Love thinking about honor and just paying it to the people that have made the ways for us. Love thinking about family as home and this place of, I don't know, respite maybe. And what else? What are my final thoughts? I don't know. I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude, and I'm grateful for like sharing these stories of these people that you like hold dear to you. And I'm inspired by the way that you've been able to like transmute that through your work. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a really beautiful experience. I yeah, don't really talk about my work ever. So it's really nice to just sit with two Black people and talk about it, because when I do issue, that's usually not the situation. So yeah, thank you for having me. I'm also filled with gratitude. My nerves are gone now.
We did it. Together
Yeah.
we can.
Yes.
Candace, what are your final thoughts? How do you feel?
I love it. I really loved, like I said, just learning more about you, and I think that I really loved when you were talking earlier about when you were a child and looking in the mirror and being like, what was the phrase? You're like, I am Antonia.
I can't believe I'm Antonia.
Yeah, like I just think that like there's something really powerful about that phrase to me. Like I am like this person, and like I don't know, that recognition, um, and the way that like through recognition and like I'm been thinking about a lot about like self-actualization, but like through like recognizing yourself, like you know are kind of again like putting yourself in the position to be like again a conduit like for this journey. And I don't know, there's something there that I'm just gonna really think about, and I feel like I just really resonated with that. So yeah, I have really enjoyed this conversation, and thank you so much for being here with us. We're gonna segue into audience Q&A. So the gigabytes, are y'all ready? Do you have questions for Antonia? It's the time for audience Q&A. So we'll get to as many questions as we're able to. And yeah, thank y'all for being here with us. We have some more to do, but yeah, let's get into the Q&A. Don't be shy. That's fine. We'll just Q&A ourselves too. We could also do that. Well, I have a question.
Okay.
No, I can ask this question because this is not related to the conversation. But okay, well, it is related actually, because we were talking about TikTok. So like who are some people, like if you can think of people, because I know whenever I am asked who I follow on TikTok, I don't know. But what are some TikToks that have stuck with you? Maybe that's a better question.
There are like, I don't know. That's a hard question, because I'm like, so TikTok, the way it's set up, it's like you just like you're going like this. And so I don't really know. I'm just normally just on my For You page looking at funny stuff. I can't think of like a particular person. I know there's this comedian, but I can't remember her name. There's this guy, which is probably very unrelated to my work. His name is Jamal. I can't think of his name, but he like lives in LA. I think he's a director, and he like his TikTok is of him watering his plants and stuff with his shirt off. I don't remember his name.
That's what is his name? Bree. We know him because he skateboards. Is it the skateboarder?
I don't know if yeah, he probably does. He has like an afro.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same person. What is her name?
I think he's from Chicago originally, but he lives in LA. I don't remember his name. because I'm just looking at his like shirtless self, plant watering, doing whatever he does with plants. But that's, I like that.
Wait, you said he has an afro.
Yeah, and like sometimes he wears braids. I don't know his name. It's like Jamal something.
He waters plants.
Yeah.
He has a skateboard. I feel like I know who you're talking about, but name is killing me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are there any art accounts that you
Oh,
follow?
art accounts. Oh yeah, let's take it, bring it back.
Well, no, we don't have to. We don't have to at all.
No, 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 I'm joking, joking. It's like, what do you look at? Shirtless guys.
That's valid. That's valid. It's valid.
Sometimes.
Attractive people.
Valid in the rest of it.
Um, uh, I can't think of like artists because I feel like I go to TikTok to like laugh. I like follow dogs on there, like this dog named Stuntman Mike. Like I follow a lot of animals. Um, fun people who like say funny things. I can't think of artists. I requested Martine Sims. She has an account, but it's private. She did not accept my request. That's an artist I would like to follow on TikTok. Yeah.
Same. Also, I didn't know she had the TikTok, but would
Yeah.
love to follow her.
Yeah. She's amazing.
It's so true. So smart. So cool.
I met her once.
Whoa.
Yeah. Actually, that video where I'm like reading American Bodies, I had like a terrible crit. And she came for a talk. So my cohort was like mostly white. And one of the people was like this like white guy. He said, he's like, I don't know why this isn't just a photograph. And he was just like, just didn't want to watch it, which is like whatever. And he was like, I like different types of art, and I'm an artist, so I feel like I don't know why I can't like why I don't understand this work. Like he was mad at me because he didn't understand it. But so it was an awful crit, and Martine Martine Sims came for a talk. And after her talk, my friend Marcellus was like, you should show her your video. And so I was just like, hey, what do you think of this? Like on my phone. And she was like, that's dope. And I was like, okay, cool. So that was like the affirmation that I needed. But yeah, she is so cool.
We love affirmation from when it matters from people. People who matter. I'm gonna ask a question from the chat.
Okay.
Stephanie asked, do you think there's a connection between the way you grew up moving around and your work and how you think a lot about rest?
So I know my work like highlights a lot of like Southern things, like my Southern culture. But when I think about a lot of my work, a lot of it isn't made in the South. So the video, Loudly, I'm laying in a field in Wisconsin. The video, Digital Veil, I was in New York. So like I don't like a lot of the things I've done haven't been in the South, but I'm always like grounded to it, no matter where I'm at. And I think moving around and like as a kid and thinking of like what I deem as like home, and it's like I'm always connected to my roots within my work, no matter where I'm at. And that the same thing went for like me being as a child. Like whereas moving different places, but my home is my family. So I don't know if that answers the question, and how you think a lot about rest. Um, Rest, my rest is a big part of my work because it's always been a big part of my life. When I was a kid, I asked my mom if I could have naps. Um, I've always been about like comfortable clothes and relaxing. Um, and even in grad school, I had a very public studio, which was annoying, but I like sectioned part of it off so I can have like a bed in my studio so I can like have privacy within my space. So like my work is about identity, so it's always like connected to just how I navigate the world. So
Yeah. I mean, that's so interesting. That the work is national and local in a way. Like that's
yeah.
really interesting. Monique asks, you said time was important to your work. How do you intend or want viewers to experience time while experiencing your work?
Um, so I I don't want my viewers to feel obligated to sit and watch a long video, but I want them to know that like contemplating my identity and contemplating Black womanhood is important and it takes time. Um, and that's why the work is long. Like, and everyone doesn't have the endurance to sit and watch something that's like moving slowly. Um, but for those who can, great. But just like the time is a part of the medium though. It's like it's part of it.
Yeah, in more ways than one, like both the
Yeah.
time
Like
span,
conceptually, it's like,
but
yeah.
also like the continuation of time, the passing of time, like through history and stuff like that. So I really, um, yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Love that. Love work that lives. Incredible.
Who do y'all follow on TikTok? Like, what do y'all watch? What does your For You page look like?
My For You page has been a lot of videos recently about what people eat in a day, like for getting a lot of protein. And so I'm like, I don't know what this is trying to tell me, but I'm interested. I'm invested
Hmm.
in upping my protein intake. I also feel like I get a lot of videos about routine and a lot of videos about like being, where you are, like whatever stage of life you're in, like kind of affirmations for that. Like I feel like those have been popping up a lot recently. Um Somebody in the comment in the chat said the lady that says everybody's so creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I get her and Eric Mays, the like
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
a legend. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That man deserves a prize for the way that he handles those meetings. Like, did you see the video? I think he was like at a town hall meeting and he was like, or the lady he's always having beef with was like, I have never met someone more racist. And he was like, I don't know about racist, but I know you're Eric racist,
Mason.
racist. And I was like cracking up.
He's the king of self-advocacy. I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like my For You page is just like a lot of people cooking things and then like people getting dressed and what was I gonna say? People making things, people cooking food, people getting dressed, and then like I hate it. I don't know how to get it to stop, but like white people DJs making mashups. Like I hate them. but I keep getting them. And my question is why?
They want you to battle.
It's a calling. It's a call to action. I'm on it.
Yeah. I think TikTok is just bringing it back to like art. I feel like people have tried to be really bringing it back to art and time. I feel like I've seen recently like videos where people are trying to kind of break the conventions of the fast pace of TikTok and like do things that are more slow, more contemplative, or just just breaking out of kind of that normal expectation of what a TikTok video is. And so, would you ever think about like putting your work on TikTok and seeing do you think there's could be a space for that kind of more reflective, more slow type of content? Because I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about like doing a TikTok with my videos. Um, yeah, I don't know what that looks like. Like the longer videos that I see haven't been like relaxing in a way. Like they've been like more um like there's this one person who does like historical Black weddings. And those are like longer, and I thought they're very interesting. Um, that is always coming up on my For You page. But I would love to see what like read with me's on TikTok would look like, or like longer. Like I'm gonna just put a video of me sleeping and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I I'm interested in that, but I also don't know how it would work. That's why I haven't done it.
Yeah, I think that could be super interesting. Danielle says, I watch a lot of tiny ecosystem videos too, like where people gather water and stuff from nature and grow ecosystems. And Monique says, do y'all ever get the Black woman who forages? Alexis,
Oh yeah, I
she's
do.
from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, to be exact. And she's so cool. And was she on the Tonight Show or the Late? No, she wasn't on James Corden. She was on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel. One of those. One of the Jimmys.
It was one of the Jimmys because it certainly was not James Corden, who was my op. Thank you.
James Corden, Bree is officially requesting you to be on the Digital Respite so that we can challenge you to a comedy special duel.
Comedy battle.
But yeah, what else?
Also on TikTok, I see like I get a lot of like Judge Judy and like paternity court. And then you're like invested, it's like, is he the father? And so you're like, how do I find the next video? Or I'm reading through the comments, was he the dad? It's the new Maury. Yeah, but I get that too. I don't know why.
I feel like I hated when they started putting bootleg TV on TikTok, but then I started watching the bootleg TV, like the Judge Judy and
Yes.
stuff on TikTok. And now I'm like, this is kind of radical, you know? We don't
Yeah.
need cable. We need TikTok. And that's why the government is mad.
Yes. What an embarrassment, that whole TikTok hearing thing. So embarrassing. There's that lady on TikTok where like she'll like I forgot what she says. It was like something about how you've been scrolling. It's a Black woman, and it's just I wish I knew what she says, but every now and then it'll pop up, and it basically like telling you to take a break from scrolling. Do y'all ever get that?
Yeah, I think those are like the TikTok like wellness check videos, unless this is
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's yeah, I guess I never, so I didn't know, so I just like go right past it. So I didn't know if that was like a TikTok thing or if like that was just a lady. Because I'm like, no, I need to find the Eric Mays, whatever.
We have another question, but I will also say I just remembered one other kind of genre that I've recently been getting is the elders and the children in the UK. Kind of like, yeah, the children are encouraging the elders. Like, have y'all seen those? Those ones are getting me. But Danielle says, I wonder how seeing a peaceful sleeping video would shape the consumers of the algorithm on TikTok, because I see a lot of the ones where people pay to disturb the creator's sleep. Do you think that maybe the algorithm encourages disturbances in people's peace for humor or as the norm?
Um, Wait, I'm sorry, I'm contemplating. Do you think? Um, a lot of times I think it does do things to disturb you. So I often get like cop videos. So like I'm trying to like relax and look at, I don't know, like paternity court or whatever. And then I get this like Karen video or like cop arresting kid. And it's like, it's there's like, and then I have to like put the phone away because then I'll go down a rabbit hole. I'm like, did these people get in trouble? So there are like, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but there are like disturbance. Like I do like TikTok is like disturbing in a way. I don't know. Am I answering this right? I can't tell. But and I think it's intentional. I think there's things in the algorithm to like upset you on purpose. So like because I never like search for that, but it comes up.
Not the gaslighting. Um, but yeah, that is possible because the way the feeds be feeding,
Yeah.
something about it.
Like, am I getting these videos because what I look up is like they know I'm a Black woman or they know I'm Black, so I'm looking at videos about like how to retwist your locks. And so they're like, oh, let's like this police video. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like those were all the questions. I feel like we had some good chat, some good discourse about the TikTok and your work and art and how it connects to that. And I'm grateful for that. So now I'm gonna shout out Antonia, and you can follow Antonia at Nia B. Larkin on Instagram.com. You can look at their work on her website, AntoniaBlarkin.net, and you can show your appreciation for her sharing her time and energy with us. Her Cash App is $ Nia B. Larkin, and her Venmo is Antonia
Brianna.
Heard, understood.
Yes. And before I go into the within shout outs, Antonia, is there anything you want to say? Like any project you want to plug, anything like that?
No, I do want to say I am working on some new work and there may be a solo show coming, but there aren't dates confirmed. So yeah.
Let us know so we can promote, because we want to see the floral arrangement, the FFA president. But yeah, thank you so much, Antonia. Go connect with her, y'all. Support. You see the Cash App, you see the Venmo, you see the website, you see the Instagram, like, we're here with it. So here's how you can connect with Within. So visit us online at withindigital.net. Subscribe to our newsletter, withindigital.substack.com. This is where we curate links that highlight cool projects, initiative, recipes, music, etc. by Black people every month. Follow us on Instagram at within.digital_, where we post about upcoming programming, and we're generally funny and cool on there. And yeah.
We have the best stories on Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. But also don't forget to check out our curated playlist on Spotify by searching Within Digital on Spotify. And if you prefer to listen to our chats, like audio only, you can check out our Spotify podcast titled Into the Respite. And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube where you're watching right now. All digital talks will be taking place on here from now on. So we'll be seeing you in the digital respite next time here on YouTube.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Antonia.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank y'all.